Om Shuklam Bharadaram Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasanavadhanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnur Gurur
Hello?
Devo Maheshwarah
Hello?
Gurur Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Okay, so we are looking at the meaning of Nama Anagaha. We've done Jagadadijaha. I don't know if we've done Jagadadijaha. We've done the Sahishnuhu for sure. Born of the world cause, as he manifests himself as the golden egg Hiranyagarbha at the beginning of the universe. I don't recollect doing that with this group.
We stopped at Sahishnu.
Yeah, we stopped at Sahishnu, right? Okay. So going back to the Hiranyagarbha, we've spoken about this particular nama a lot before, and it is a very, very critical nama to understand where the universe has manifested from. And actually, Shankaracharya starts his Bhagavad Gita commentary with the manifestation, like, how the golden egg and came into
Guruji,
being.
are we talking about the 20th?
Shloka would be 16th shloka.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, 16th shloka. So we finished the first line, 4 namas. We are doing the last nama, Jagadadijaha. So it is, whether you want to call it the God's particle according to what NASA says, or the center of sun is what it says, but something that is the substratum, something around which everything else in the universe is dependent on, that central point around which all the galaxies are revolving, that you would want to call it as that Hiranyagarbha. And Jagadadijaha, he is born of the world cause, as he manifests himself as the golden egg Hiranyagarbha at the beginning of the universe. So when we talk about Vishnu Sahasranamam, ideally, most of the namas, you should be visualizing the galaxies, the universe in its full glory. And I actually do suggest, if you want to watch 1 or 2 documentaries about how universe was created, do it from either NASA or BBC documentaries or NGC ones. You just get a sense of what the scale of all of this is. We know, but we don't have a visual for it, right? So do that, and how all of this actually, in our Vedas, it already spoke about what they currently think they are discovering, which is the sad part. And in Purusha Suktam, the last part, what we call as Uttara Narayanam, actually says Nakshatrani Rupam. So see Bhagavan in, so if you chant Rudram and you want to visualize Paramatman, then everything like the trees, the birds, the bees and everything. So it just covers all of those namas in there. And in Vishnu Sahasranamam, it is just the universe, and think about, at least that's me personally, so it doesn't have to be the exact same thing for everybody, but every time I read this, my visualization is the whole universe and all the galaxies. And I remember just posting some pictures of tornadoes, storms, everything is like that Sudarshana Chakram, right? All the galaxies are exactly the same kind of shape. So visualize those, so it becomes easy for us to comprehend. The next nama we are looking at is Anagaha, the sinless. Chandogya Upanishad, and Anagaha appears twice, and it's a very common nama that gets used for Bhagavan. In Chandogya Upanishad, it says he is free from sin. He is untainted by sin. He resides in the midst of the samsara, though he resides in the midst of the samsara in his incarnations. This is the Nirguna Nirvikara, that Swarupam of Bhagavan, and we were talking about it in Gita classes too. So we were saying it is like this, the movie screen, it is the substratum of everything. Without that, the movie doesn't happen. But whatever happens on the movie doesn't taint or touch the Atman. So very important concepts for us to remember and understand. And we have to live that practically. So Anagaha. The next namam is Vijayaha, excelling everything in wisdom, dispassion, and greatness, etc. So he excels in all attributes. Despite being attributeless, he excels in everything. So kind of a contradictory statement, but very easy for us to comprehend because we know that Bhagavan is the best in everything. He is what we call as the absolute measure of everything. We are a relative measure of something. Like, yesterday we were talking about the fire and the spark. So think about it from the absolute measure of every attribute. Next nama is Jeta, transcending all beings by his very nature. So important to understand, he is close, but he's far. And can anybody explain this? Probably, you can explain it better than I can do. What does that immanence and transcendence mean?
He's
So
inside you. Sorry.
go
He's
ahead.
inside you, but still you're not able to see him. Like what I sense is like he's inside us. He's everywhere, but still we are not. He's elusive kind, right? Like we are not. That Maya is closing our eyes, so we are not able to see him and everywhere. Maybe it can be anything like our mindset, our like what to say, like our materialistic needs and everything. So the spirituality, like full-fledged, if we go into it, I feel like that Maya will go and then we'll be able to see him. I think like we are still in that stage. So
Correct. Exactly. So he is very close, but at the same time, he is there and here. And when we think about, okay, the Atman in me, and I don't see my Atman, it is the Atman that is seeing what I call as me. That is the difference, that it takes a 180-degree approach, different approach for us to understand that concept, that he is the one seeing through me. Kena Upanishad just starts with that as the answer, right? He's the consciousness, or he's what makes eyes see. And what I call as my eyes, he's the one watching through it, and understanding that concept takes a lot of time. Just intellectually easy to understand, and to live it will take a lifetime, or maybe like crores of lifetime.
Guruji, can I add one more thing? I mean, as an
Please,
example,
please go ahead.
I think what you both said is absolutely, that's what I was thinking also. And the other thing is, I don't know if it is, I mean, how do you call it? But I call it as Mundaka Upanishad, or you are calling it as Mandukya Upanishad. I think they are the same, isn't they? I mean, what term we should use?
There are two different Upanishads.
Oh, two different. So I think in one of them, if I remember correctly, they say a great example of two birds perching on a tree.
Mundaka Upanishad, yeah.
Yeah, Mundaka Upanishad. So one of them is actually the Jivatma, which is enjoying the fruits of karma. And then right next to sitting is the Paramatma, waitfully watching you. Hey, forget about eating your karma palas, turn around me, and then, that would be the better. But, I think that's what I feel like. He's right next to you, like two birds perching on the tree, but we are enjoying our karma phalas without ever looking at the Paramatma. I'm sorry, I'm catching my breath. I'm walking in the park.
Yeah, I know, I realize.
That's what I try to, like analyze this one. He's right next to us, right within us. And then at the same time as the Sahasranama starts, Vishwam Vishnu Vashatkaro. He's everywhere, he's within us, but like that bird enjoying the karma phala, we are not paying attention to the one sitting next to us or within us.
Correct. It's the within us, exactly. And the extension of that is that we are a reflection of that word. It's only a reflection that is taking all the karma phalas and everything and behaving or feeling separated from that original Parabrahman.
Yes.
Yeah, very much.
Guruji, sorry for interruption. Can we say, is this our imaginations or an illusion?
Sorry, I'm going to mute just
Sorry.
for a Go ahead,
Yeah,
Lataji.
Guruji, is this, we can say that it is our imaginations or an illusion which we have, and then bring it into ourselves and then and look in, because as you said, as we see that we cannot see anything, it's omnipotent and omnipresent. So we are just imagining, we are having something in our mind, in our soul, and then defining that, and this is the Paramatma, and go from there. Is that correct?
You have to repeat that question, so I just make sure that I answer it correctly.
Okay, so the question, what I was trying to say, everything we are saying about karma pala, we are saying about the, I've just heard what our Moday was saying about it, Thiruji. So what I was trying to say is, actually all that is our, we have to imagine, we have to imagine ourselves with that Paramatma, and have to have something in our mind. Is that an illusion or what is it? I'm confused on that part of that.
That's why I was asking for clarification. It is not an imagination. What you need to start feeling is to go through the layers. Currently, we see ourselves like, when I look at something, I'm just thinking from a very body, my sthula sharira perspective. As you start becoming more subtle and start meditating, then you would observe that it is him that is watching through this medium called a body.
Oh,
It
okay.
is not a visualization. And in childhood, if we try to explain this to a little child, the person, like the child, would not understand. Right? At that time, they have told us, okay, we are here, and Bhagavan is watching from outside. So he has, eyes, the Sahasraksha, he has eyes all over the place, and he is watching us. What that needs to change to as we are evolving is that vision from within. Sorry, I'm going to mute you for a second. So from within, he is watching, and you would only get that through meditating and understanding little deeply on what is that. When I say things like, he is watching from within, what does that mean? And there are vidyas, like, as we were talking about the 32 the Brahma vidyas that help us meditate. And yesterday I was just giving one example of just look deeply into um, like your pet's eyes, especially pets, because they don't have any maya or anything, they're just pure, right? So watching into it, and there are some other nice vidyas and meditations. It's not imagination nor visualization. It is understanding the true nature of the consciousness that is within us. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Lataji.
That could be achieved through a meditation, as what you said.
Correct.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you. So we have to slowly develop that into and see our Paramatma into that.
Yeah. And even if it is like, maybe in the first few days, you will need a lot more time, maybe like, 10-minute meditations to just get to that, because, the thoughts are all over the place, and it just, there are distractions, and you're hearing sounds from the kitchen. But once you actually get the hang of it, you sit down 30 seconds, you're in a different mode. You know what's watching from within you.
Oh, okay. Okay. So like sadhanas.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Guruji. Thank you.
Sriji, why did you say pets don't have Maya?
I meant to say pets are nishkalmasha. So they don't have any impurities. Like they don't think about, oh, I have to kill this. Like, okay, I'm talking about pets, right?
They don't have karma phala. Other than that, all the other layers are there, right?
Nishkalmasham is what I'm talking about. When I say
No kalankam, is it?
Nishkalmasham is kalmasham. How do I explain that? To harm somebody, or to deceive somebody, or I have to say this so I can hurt the other person. They don't have all of that. They just
Okay.
do their job.
Okay.
They're
But all
pure,
other.
like a lot more purer in their hearts, and
Uh-huh.
that actually reflects through their eyes.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay. So the next nama we are looking at is Vishwa Yonihi, having the universe as leading to his inference, or he who is the all cause. He's the only cause of the universe. So he is the womb from where the whole universe has been created, and he is the one that everything has to go back and rest in. So he is Vishwa Yonihi. The next nama is Punarvasuhu, the repeated dweller. We have seen the nama Vasuhu previously. Here we are saying Punarvasuhu, or as he again and again dwells in the bodies as the individual self, as the Kshetrajna. So I think that is easy for everybody to understand. So I'll just move to the next nama. I will tell you that in Vishnu Sahasranamam, there is less to visualize and less number of concepts, like, unlike the Lalita Sahasram, where we say, okay, this is related to body, Sri Chakra, everything. In Vishnu Sahasranamam, it sounds simple. It is the most complicated thing to understand Paramatman. That is the one thing that we will not get in, as Shankaracharya says, in crores of lives. So though the meanings are short, I think they are worth meditating. Take one nama, any nama that you feel like you want to do. Just meditate on what that is trying to say. It is something to be, I hate to use the word experience, because it is not an experience, like, flashing lights and all of that. It is something to be felt and experienced, and not external, but internal. And a lot of sadhanas that are given in Lalita Sahasranamam need to lead to this. They both talk about the same thing from two different aspects. One is going inwards, from me, how am I going to see myself as the Paramatman looking through me, versus Lalita Sahasranam takes it a little more broadly and creates a visualization. It talks about flowers, it talks about saris, it talks about like various other things that become the alambana ultimately to get to this anyway. As even Lalita Sahasranam, after saying all of this, towards the end it says, Antar Mukha Samaradhya Bahir Mukha Sudurlabha. So don't take this as we are going faster, doesn't mean this is done. We are just talking about the meaning. But if you really, really have to understand Vishnu Sahasranamam's essence, meditate on it and focus on, contemplate on what each of those meanings were, and spend time on it. That would be very helpful. Okay. The next nama.
Guruji, sorry,
Yes.
learning all this, like going to the temple now, it's like I'm getting overwhelmed with so many thoughts. What should I think? What should I leave? How did all this guru, like whoever is written, and what comes to their mind? I don't know whether I'm making sense with my question. Like, I'm like, what do I see? Like the God in this form, or like this, or like all the meanings like goes right, and like I don't know how to explain it, but like you feel confused, you feel like what should I think about, right?
Yeah. So it's only a stage that's going to pass very soon, Anitaji. If you're feeling that way, you're on the path to understand it. And very soon, all those questions and all the confusion will be resolved automatically. Stick to it, focus on it.
Thank you.
Uh,
Go ahead, Sheshadriji. You're on mute.
can you hear me?
Yeah. Oh.
Can you hear me now? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, as a scientific experiment, as a medical professional, I'm saying, like when she talked about thoughts and everything, there is a nice scientific study saying that, like every person on the average in this universe will have about 60,000 thoughts per day.
Mm.
And then of those 60,000 thoughts, majority of 90% of them are repetitive. So that's what we are doing. We are wasting so much time on a repetitive thought instead of, like ignoring them with what you said, meditation, sadhana, and then focus on some kind of, if you are believing in Saguna Rupa, focus on whatever
Yeah.
Saguna Rupa that you want.
Exactly.
Or, of course, Nirguna, just look at the light. That's what, light means not directly the sunlight or anything, but imagine. So that's what it is. Majority of the thoughts are repetitive and then useless thoughts that we are, everybody will have out of those 60,000 average thoughts.
Thank you for sharing that. I've not heard that that number before. That is very helpful. I do say, I think there are some 5,000 words spoken per day, and we actually had a competition in my home. How wisely would you use your 5,000? Or do we even need to use all of the 5,000? Obviously not at work. There we have to say what we need to say and how many ever words it takes. But personally, when within my family, my brothers and my sister-in-laws, my husband and my son, we just had this choose your word. How many adjectives do you need to incorporate into your sentence to actually make it the same meaning as you would have to? So we did some of those experiments, and it doesn't require as many words. Just conserving that energy and using it for a better purpose. And if you're using something, just let it be truthful, let it be more mindful speak than chit chat. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that number. Now I'll have to think about the thoughts too.
I bet, even though when most of us are listening to it, those thoughts are being processed in the background anyway. So,
Yeah.
so that's where we need that control.
Exactly. Yeah. And what thoughts come to mind? And recently I was actually explaining to my son, he also does some sadhanas. So thinking from a next step perspective, we were just having a chat, and I was trying to tell him what you feed is what will repeat in your mind. It's all input, right? We are what we intake, and intake would be your food, your water, what you're watching, what you're listening, who you're associating with, what are your activities, your your karmendriyas and jnanendriyas. Whatever these 10 do, that is what the mind is working on, and those thoughts revolve only around those. So completely depends on, that's why yogis say there is a siddha related food, this is what I need to take. So they probably eat roots and vegetables. Whereas some other yogis, they eat more of the sattvic kind of food. So depending on what kind of sadhana, even diet has been prescribed differently. And obviously, Kshatriyas needed a different kind of food because they needed that extra protein and be able to be stronger to wage any wars. So think about all of those things that you're feeding into your brain throughout the day, what you watch on TV, what you speak, what music you listen to. Not that we have to walk on eggshells. That's not what I'm saying. But know that subtly, all of these things, unconsciously, all of these things are happening. But if you're on a path and on a serious path to do sadhana, you have to be very mindful of these things. And sometimes if you're serious about something, you just have to get rid of a few unnecessary stuff.
So I have one more question,
Sure.
Sriji. Does meditation help us change our thoughts, like the way we think? So is meditation helpful?
Very helpful based on personal experience.
Okay, thank you.
I can guarantee you that.
Okay.
I used to live a very stressful life with almost 120, 130 kilometers commute each day, and with a younger child. And my husband used to travel a lot, for his work internationally. It's almost and having a large house and maintaining the lawn and everything else. Quite stressful work environment. Sometimes, I used to work in marketing agencies, large agencies. Launches would happen at 2 in the morning, and having a young child. I can tell you how significantly different I am today versus those, I think, 1 or 2 year period that I absolutely needed a lot of meditation and I did not get a chance to do it. Okay, so we'll move to the next nama. Oh, we were doing the Punarvasuhu, we did that. Okay, Upendraha, younger brother of Indra or overlord. As Vamana, dwarf incarnation, he was younger to Indra, their parents being Kashyapa and Aditi. The Harivamsha says, "You are placed by the Vedas as Lord, just as you are now Lord over me. So the gods praise you on earth, O Krishna, as Upendra." So I'm not very familiar with Puranas, so I have to apologize. I don't know the full context of this Indra and Upendra.
I think it's as a brother of Vamana.
That's what this is saying, right? Like Vamana's brother is Indra.
Yeah, because Aditi's son, right? Both Aditi's son, so
Yeah,
he became brother.
yeah. And there cannot be any other meaning in this because he is the Lord and cannot be an Upa Lord unless, he is the brother, younger brother of Indra. And the immediate next namam, I think in nice connection, is Vamanaha, the dwarf, because he begged of Bali in the form of a dwarf, or Vamana is worshipped by all gods. In Kena Upanishad, Shruti says, "Him, the dwarf, sitting in the middle of the heart, all gods adore." So they're now trying to connect it to the Pundarika Akshanamam.
Hi, Sriji.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram. I just wanted to know, what did you say was the name of Aditi's son?
Indra and Vamana.
Indra and Vamana. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much.
No worries.
I think they are in the different time frames, I guess, in yugas. So that's the reason why. I mean, Indra is a position that everybody gets to. I mean, it is not a permanent position. So one Indra is replaced by the other one, something like that. And then ultimately, this Bali Chakravarti. I mean, his descendants will become Indra. So I don't know why this connection Upa Indra is, because it's kind of a little bit confusing, but I got to read, but they are of different time frames. Vamana is in one different time frame, and Indra is a position that changes every yuga or whatever certain period of time.
Aditi, do you have any context to answer that?
Yeah, actually, Mahabali was doing this yaga, and then he was taking over the Indraloka. So they went and complained to Mahavishnu, and then Mahavishnu said that he'll come and help them, and then he took the form of Vamana as
Vamana,
Aditi's son. And Aditi is the one who went and complained because her son Indra lost his power because of Bali Chakravarti. So she went and complained. So Vishnu came as Aditi's son, as Vamana. And then during the yaga, he comes to Mahabali Chakravarti and asks for the three steps. Yeah. And then he steps on all the three bhulokas. He expands into a huge form, the universal form, and then steps on all three lokas and then asks for the third step.
Yeah.
That's when he had to step on his head and then send him to the Patala Loka.
Patala, yeah. So I think Sheshadriji's question is they're of different times.
Yes.
So, of different yugas.
Times. Yeah, Indra was already there. Yeah, Vamana was I think fourth avatara. Yeah. So it's a different time period.
Okay. And it's a very short avatar, I think too, right? Just came for that one purpose and
right. Yeah, it was a short avatar. Yeah.
I think the shortest is probably Narasimha Avatara. To be precise, but shortest but most powerful Avatara is Narasimha Avatara to me.
Yeah,
Ye-
I
yes.
think they all of that to till that extent, I think it was just for one purpose and leave right after that action has been completed, right? Like, and from Parashurama is when actually it's like longer periods of time.
Yeah.
Okay. So moving to the next nama, Pram Shuhu, the tall. So on one side they're saying the dwarf and the other side they're saying the tall. As the very same dwarf instantly became greater than the three worlds, when the water accompanying the gift was poured into his hands, the dwarf was no longer a dwarf. The Lord manifested his universal form. The earth was his feet, the sky his head, and the sun and moon his eyes. Having thus manifested his cosmic form, he traversed the earth. Harivamsha says, then, when he rose up high, the sun and moon came up to his chest. When he walked up the middle region, they, the sun and the moon, reached up to his knees. Thus, his tallness is described in Harivamsha.
There's one more explanation here. It says Indra,
Mhm.
the king of the sense organs, is the mind, and the consciousness, which is the self, is the one factor that dynamizes the mind. Since life is that which controls even the mind, certainly it is superior to the mind, and this self is the Mahavishnu.
Mm. Can you repeat that one more time? And
Indra, the king of
yeah,
the sense organs, is the mind.
Yeah.
And the consciousness, which is the self, is the one factor that dynamizes the mind.
correct. Yeah.
Since life is that which controls even the mind, certainly it is superior to the mind, and this self is the Mahavishnu. Because Upa means superior also, right? There's another meaning. I think that's what they're trying to. Upendra means.
Yeah. I don't know about that meaning, but that's what I know as the actual, like, he is, Indra is the lord of the senses. And then, like, law, obviously, consciousness is over and above, and that controls the mind. So I
Yes,
did
yes.
not know if that connection could have been made at the Upendra. So that's where I was trying to understand if there was anything.
That's what in this Chinmaya book it is.
Book with, yeah.
Yeah, I have heard that too.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Shajiji.
It comes in the Harivamsha Puranam,
Yes.
the story about it, and it also tells that since he's a younger brother of Indra by birth, since he's a controller of all the senses, he becomes Upara Indra, and that's how the word Upendra came into it, because he controls everything.
Okay.
And I've heard the very reference to it in one of those Chinmaya discourses as well.
Yeah, because I've heard that too, but I would have said Uparendra in that case, not Upendra, right? Like that is the truth for sure. Like I'm not contesting the truth at all. It's just the nama itself that I'm a little confused on.
This is all semantics, I guess. I mean, Upa can be understood as, say, like Upasana. So that means you are sitting next to, or
Next to, yeah, Upanishad.
Upamanamu. Yeah, exactly. Upamanamu means
Upanishad, yeah.
like example. That means you are equal. Because you're giving an example which is equivalent. So that is Upamanamu. I think in Telugu or Sanskrit, I think that's the multiple meanings that you can derive from. So that's the beauty of Vishnu Sahasranamam. So you can analyze it so deeply.
Exactly. I think which also I think that makes a lot of sense, Sheshadriji. Upa Indra, something that is closely in association with the Indriyas, but not the same. Like it's not connected in a way.
Yes, exactly.
Beautiful.
I mean, I don't want to, but I bet, I mean, hopefully in the future you will talk about Purusha Suktam. And then, in that, I don't want to chant right white in walking and then without any, like preparation. But definitely he talks about this Vamana and Trivikrama in a beautiful verse, I guess, in Purusha Suktam. Maybe we can go sometime in the future.
I chant it every day. I'm trying to recollect where the Vamana is. But there
Think
is a
about the
whole
size,
creation.
right? I mean, he talks about 1 inch, and then ultimately, like he's
Yeah.
1/3 of the
One fourth
entire
of the creation. Yeah.
yeah
The
1/4 of the creation, and
Tripad
rest 2/3 is he is there. So I think in that way we can think about this Vamana avataram also.
We could make connections. But what actually it says is Tripad Urdhva Udait Purushaha. So what manifested is only 1/4 that manifested into the universe, but above this universe is the 3 other quarters that are in the unmanifested form.
But like even though the manifestation that we are seeing here is like his original size, Vamana's original size. But when we grew into this Trivikrama, like the other 2/3 of it kind of I'm trying to connect them into that particular connotation.
Yeah, and they're all connected. Like nothing is going to teach us anything differently. It's just it's such a complex subject that no matter how much we study, there is still a lot more that needs to be understood. There is one story about a rishi. I'm trying to recollect which rishi it is. He does so much of sadhana and studies so much, and then he prays to the Lord. Lord Vishnu appears in front of him, and he says, "I know this Vedam, I know this, and then he gives a full list of what are all the things that he has learned and the full knowledge of. And Bhagavan just picks up a sand particle from his feet and says, "This is what you know. There is a lot more to go." So every time there is a Sanskrit verse, "Alpasya kalaha bhavasya vignaha yat sarabhutam tad upasitavyam." So there is a lot to learn. There is
I'm the
only
best example for that, Guruji. Alpasya.
Yeah, limited time for all of us. So it actually says, whichever is the essence of the learning, which is what we are currently talking about, that essence is given in the Vishnu Sahasranamam and the Lalita Sahasranamam. So learn the essence, and how to practically apply is given in Gita. And that's why I wanted to do these 3 together for the group. Great discussions. Okay, we'll move to the next nama, Amogha, fruitful in his actions. And na mogham cheshtitam yasya saha amogha. So the one who gives fruits, and he is the fruit to be achieved ultimately. So we can say, okay, dharma, artha, kama, and whatever we are achieving, like, today I'm going to do this and I'll get this as the benefit. But the ultimate goal, he is the fruit of all the actions that everybody needs to achieve before the unmanifestation can happen, and then there will be a manifestation at a later time. Okay. Shuchihi, the pure. Go ahead, Satiji.
Did you talk about Pramshu?
Pramshu, yeah, the tall. We were talking about the instantly became greater than the 3 worlds, as Bali Chakravarti has done the Arghyam.
So that means tall?
Yeah. Pramshu, the way Shankaracharya describes it, it's the tall, and which is where we were reading, like, he rose, the sun and moon came to his chest, and then later they came to his knees. Oh. The next nama is Shutihi.
Sorry.
Go ahead, please.
Probably the word, more fitting is probably enormous, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know if there is any word that can describe his enormity. He is the it, the everything that there is. Shuchihi, the pure. So to Anitaji, to your point, so next time when you probably see that beautiful smiling Venkateshwara Vigraham, think about everything that there is. Just try to see, like Yashoda has seen the whole universe in Krishna's mouth. Try to see in that Vigraham everything that exists in the universe.
Thank you, Guruji. I will do it.
Shuchihi, the pure, he as he purifies those that remember, praise, and worship him. The Shruti says he is untouched, great, and pure. He purifies his devotees regardless whether they make offerings or not. And yesterday we were talking a little bit about this. Don't be worried if you do this. Will Mother be happy? Will Bhagavan be happy? Or will he be, is this a mistake? Can I do this? So don't hesitate. They are the parents. And they understand that we are not perfect, obviously, can never be as perfect as they are. So being in connection with the God so much, knowing that this is the best you are able to do. That's the other part. Is like, okay, it's not that I can do an hour of meditation, then I tend to do like 2 minutes and the rest, 1 hour I'm going to watch a movie. Not that watching movies is not allowed. We need to have that as well. But we don't need to worry about, oh, if I do this, will it be wrong? That, at least in my opinion, I try to be as connected with them as possible. So he is the one that purifies, and sometimes I call it his job description. If I'm your child, and this is me being like, the brat. If I'm your child, it's up to you when and how you're going to get me there, but I need to get there. So that's my love for him. And Urjitaha, powerful, being of immense strength. I actually wanted to discuss a little more about this one, but we don't have enough time. So if there are other pieces that we need to discuss, we'll stop at this nama and then we'll come back to this. Urjitaha has multiple deeper level meanings that I don't want to miss out on. Any other thoughts? Go ahead.
I don't know if I missed it or something, but 136th name of Krita, you were going to discuss it at a later time. Did I miss it?
Kritaha, I don't think I have done that as well. And I believe Shuchishraha is also something, yeah. So I have the cause and effect, yes. I was even looking for that particular part of the note. I have like 4 trying to find. I have it. Somehow I am not able to find it. And I don't want to use my personal words to explain that, because that explains it very, very clearly. And it actually says this is the cause, this is the effect. And because there is no effect, there is no cause. So it kind of negates the whole cause and effect and makes a beautiful connection. So I will bring it. So I'm working on it.
Okay.
And I will now mark Urjita as well. Any other thoughts, or shall we conclude here? Padmaji, did you want to share anything? Okay, sounds good. So we'll
Just one thing. I mean, it is
go ahead.
it is general. The way you said, like, hey, it is his responsibility. It is not my responsibility. When and
I
then
didn't say the
how to
second word.
change me. No, seriously. That this reminds me. I heard. I mean, long time back, Kulashekar Alvar. Actually, while praising Lord Krishna, he says in one of his verses exactly the same thing. Hey, why should I worry? I don't have to worry about anything because it is your job to take me to you.
Yeah. The complete Sharanagati, right? Like, sounds very like arrogant, but that's not what it is. It's more about I as a person does not have enough resources or mind or any state of anything to be able to reach Bhagavan. And if it has to happen, it has to happen only through him. So just may I walk me through that path so I can do what is required to get there. I don't know like how to explain it, but I actually was even speaking to my cousin the other day, and she was saying like, okay, do we take this or what do we do? So I told her, I don't know. If he asks me, he's the one that's guiding me. He tells me, okay, board this bus. Sure, I'll board that bus. It's not my choice. And even if I'm using this time to be with you all, I always think it is his choice, not my choice. It's not me who is doing this. I personally, if I had to choose, maybe I would have chosen to watch a movie like stupid, but he chooses this for us, right? To be associated with you all and to be learning from each of you.
Yeah, I think you're right. The word Sharanagati, I think someone told me this great analogy to Sharanagati. The shortest distance between problems and solutions is between your kneeling knees and his feet.
Mm. Yeah, I would actually put my head down, not even my knees.
I mean, that means when you are kneeling, that means your head is at his feet. That's what it is. The shortest distance between problem and solution is between the distance between your kneeling knees. That means your head is at his feet.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll end with a short prayer. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Sarvam Sriman Narayana Charanaravindarpanamastu. Thank you so much for your time. If you're joining Lalita Sahasranamam, we'll catch up in about 12 minutes. Thank you.
धन्यवादः भगिनी. Thank you.
Dhanyavadaha. Dhanyavadaha.
धन्यवादः.
Dhanyavadaha.
धन्यवाद.
Dhanyavadaha.
Thank you, Guru.